Hi, my love. Rose here with the Cackling Moon. This is going to be your one question fall themed reading. For the reading, you asked, you were dating your partner over 1 year. Will the relationship be successful or will it end / be better to end? So you're just kind of wanting to see what's coming up, what is going on with this relationship. The way I'm going to approach the reading is I want to read for the energy of the relationship, and then I'll just pull cards also to kind of look at what is to come, and then we'll just kind of decipher the answer to that. So for your reading, I'm going to use a couple decks. I'm going to use the Tricker Tarot. I'm also going to use the Halloween Tarot and the Oracle of Oddities. And let's start with the energy of this relationship. So let's start with the Oracle. The energy of this relationship. Ooh, okay. I love it when the cards just start flying out right away. It's like immediate answers. Interesting. Okay. So first off, what is coming through is ending and growth, which is two complete opposites, okay? So with the energy of this relationship, the first thing I'm going to ask is, was this relationship, is this like a restart? Like, have you guys had a split, maybe not a complete breakup, but maybe you guys had some time apart and then you got back together with the ending card coming up and then with the growth card. Now, the other thing I'm saying is the energy of this relationship, the topic of breaking up has floated around your mind for quite some time already. So that's there, the ending and whatnot. So it's almost like two pathways. There's that pathway of ending it, or the pathway of you need to see growth and development in this relationship in order for you to stay invested. That's what I'm seeing there. I'm also seeing gluttony and support. So I feel like that's kind of saying one of you is supporting the other person's bad habits, almost like you're being a I'm not going to be able to know the word. You're being someone else's scapegoat. Is that what it is? Like, you're allowing someone in the relationship is allowing the other person to fulfill or to continue to fulfill negative traits, negative aspects, and whatnot, with that gluttony card and then the support. Okay, so I don't know if it's because either you or the other person is afraid to address it, or you don't know what to do. So you it's almost like you want to see the person change, but you're also allowing them to continue to be who they are, in the hopes that maybe they will just miraculously decide to change themselves, and then the two of you can grow. So I feel like that's one reason why you're asking the question of wanting to see where the relationship is going, because perhaps you're hoping for change, but you know that if nothing does change, then you're ready to just be like, bye, I'm out. So I'm seeing we have the 8 of Pentacles, which is working. You have to work towards it for this relationship to work. It's gonna take a lot of work, a lot of dedication to make this relationship continue to be strong. We have the 2 of Pentacles, which is definitely that whole wishy-washy, I don't know what I want kind of thing. I see this relationship as being a ping pong game where you're just going back and forth. The thought of just completely breaking up has been rolling back and forth with you two. I'm going to say it from your perspective, though, since this is your reading. So I do see that as being something that has been on your mind, definitely. And then I also see the Ace of Cups, which is this needs to be an emotional conversation that has to happen. Ace of Cups is a new beginning, but it's also the outpouring of emotions. It may have been a while since the two of you have communicated. like on a deep, deep, deep level. And I feel like there's some stuff that needs to come out with that Ace of Cups. That's just making me feel like there's some emotions, there's some feelings, there's things deep down with you that need to come out, and you really need to have that conversation with your significant other. Let's pull a couple cards on that. The King of Imps, the King of Wands, the Knight of Imps, and the Page of Ghosts. Wow. So I don't know. Have you already been having eyes? Have you already been having eyes, or have there already been a couple people showing interest in you? Okay. Because you got a lot of guys over here. Like a lot of curious fellows here waiting. They're like waiting to talk to you. And it's a lot. It's a range of them. So I feel like maybe you've been receiving attention, you've been receiving, like you've been noticing other people, your eyes have been wandering, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, we're human beings. But I feel like we tend to, our eyes wander when things aren't quite 100% in the relationship. Okay. So I do feel like this is kind of indicating what can possibly happen if this relationship were to fall apart. That you kind of already know that there's other people around that would be interested. Like, it's almost like you have little pillows to land on. I'm going to call it like it is because that's how I see it. But also I want to say I was guilty of that too. When I was, before I met my husband, I was dating, and I would always have someone, a pillow to fall on in case the relationship that I was in didn't work out. I was that kind of girl. So I kind of see this as happening with you too. That you know that there's other interested suitors, if things didn't work out between you two. So really interesting. Okay, so now that we see the energy of this relationship, I want to pull on the initial question, which is you're asking about the future. So please keep in mind that anything read in the future tense is subject to change based on your present actions. So nothing is set in stone, okay? Nothing is set in stone, and I just want you to be aware of that. So I'm just going to pull quickly because I have another thing I want to pull for you. So I don't want to like spend too much time on this, but so we have dreams. All right, this one's Nine of Pumpkins. So definitely with the future of this relationship, the dreams card is saying that you do have high hopes for it. Okay, so you do have dreams of what you want it to be. This relationship has potential fulfilling dreams that maybe you have of what you want it to be, what you just destined for it to be in the future. You really want the future of the relationship to be super easygoing, to be like literally like that Nine of Pumpkins or the Nine of Pentacles. To me, just says you want it to be effortless, okay? Almost like you want your significant other to just know what you're thinking and to fulfill what you're thinking and what your heart desires without you having to tell them. Which, reality speaking, most of the time, they're not going to get it, okay? So we kind of still have to put subtle hints there for them. The other thing I'm seeing with this is fulfillment of wishes with like, financial abundance and not having to worry about the finances and that kind of thing. Living a fantasy. So I do see the future of this relationship. If you guys don't continue, if you continue the path that you're on and you're not trying to solve the current issues happening, it's almost like you guys are living in a bubble and there's a fantasy. Okay. So it's nice to dream and it's nice to hope for future and what you want, but you also have to realize that this isn't a fantasy, this is reality. So, making sure that you're tending to those needs right now so that in the future, this will change and it could be effortless. You can have an effortless relationship and a very abundant relationship, as this shows the potential of it. But I am nervous about the dreams card aligned with the nice fancy card of like living in a fantasy world with this person, because you're both not addressing reality. You know what I mean? I hope I'm saying that correctly so it doesn't sound confusing, but that's what I see with that. Okay, I really want to pull for each of your guys' perspective. So I'm going to pull cards. I'm going to have the Halloween tarot for you. I'm going to use the Trick or Tarot for your significant other. And I really want to pull cards for what you each need in a relationship. Okay, I feel like that's going to really help you. I know that wasn't initially part of your question, but for some reason, I feel really called to answer that for you. So I'm going to do it. So let's work on pulling the cards first, and then we'll do the reading. And then we'll have the shadow cards. I'll do the shadow cards too. So the oracle cards I'm going to pull, I'm going to use this with the intention of what are some challenges for both of you. Okay? Challenges for both of you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Cards are all upside down. Okay. So challenges for the two of you. So desires and challenges in the relationship. So what you want, what you're looking for. Okay. So let's start with him or them. I'm sorry. I shouldn't assume. So for your significant other, they got the 9 of Swords, the World, and the 3 of Pentacles. Interesting. So things that they desire in relationship, they kind of need help. They need help. They desire completion for one thing. This could be within themselves. So I feel like that the significant other may not be where they want to be in life, and they need to finish something. Okay. They need to have a sense of accomplishment, especially with that 3 of Pentacles. There could have been maybe they started up a new project, or they've gone back to school, or they switched up their career path a couple times. So they're not quite where they want to be. There's a lot of anxiety and a lot of stresses surrounding them. Okay. So they need somebody who's going to be a bit more understanding. That World card kind of makes me feel like, with the 9 of Swords and the World, makes me feel like they require, or they need a mate who is more experienced. I'm not saying that you're not experienced, but I'm saying this is what they need. That they need a significant other who is more experienced, more so than they are. It's because sometimes they need somebody to pull them out of their own head, okay, with that 9 of Swords, or to pull them out of the nightmare that they're living in. So they need somebody who's going to balance that out, because they do deal with a lot of stresses and anxieties and whatnot. They also need somebody who's willing to work things through in a relationship. 3 of Pentacles is willing to kind of transform, to rebuild and whatnot. So they need someone who's going to have the patience to do that, but also kind of keep them under the fire, like have the fire burning under their ass to keep making sure that they're getting stuff done. Because I feel like with that World card is like, once they finish a project, or they complete something, they forget that they have to continue doing things. You know what I mean? So they need also somebody to kind of, I don't want to say it, but they kind of need a babysitter, but in a nice way. So there are people who are willing to be babysitters in relationships. I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but it's kind of like, they need someone who's going to keep them accountable, okay? But also have the patience to deal with some of their own like weird little quirks, like that Nine of Swords. Their little maybe they have night terrors at night, or they have like, they just stress the fuck out all the time, you know? So someone who's willing to put up with that. Their challenges that they face with relationships. So we have apathy. I love it. That's being someone who's apathetic in life is somebody who is just not motivated. They literally lose interest. So like I said with the World card, they need somebody who's going to make sure that they keep doing what they're supposed to be doing. So definitely they have that. That's like one of their challenges. Divinity. So the divinity is this could be the divine timing of things, so that, you know, maybe this person is impatient and they just want to see things now. Divinity could also be, you know, instilling their faith. So maybe they need a relationship that is faith-based, or there, you know, you guys have to have some sort of foundation with the relationship. And then also there's love. So they also just want that compassionate, unconditional love in the relationship. They want something simple, and they are a lover. I'm not trying to make them sound like, you know, they're a horrible person, because it's definitely not it. But I would say one of their quirks, one of their challenges, is being apathetic. And so obviously a lot of people can be that way. We can all lose interest. We can all need a little bit of a push. But so they definitely need someone in a relationship who's willing to do that. Okay. Now for you, what do you require in a relationship? So we have the Magician, we have the Empress, and we also have the Five of Pumpkins. So what I'm seeing with the Empress and Magician, you're very much the person who wears the pants in a relationship, okay? You're also somebody who's more aggressive with the Magician card. You like to bring new ideas to the table. You need a relationship that's always going to have the magic alive. When things die down, it bores you. When things just become routine, it bores you. The Empress card coming up is also the nurturing of the relationship. So you also like to feel like you can take care of your lover, or you like to, you like the beauty, the good things, the good stuff about a relationship, you know, being able to spend the money, or being able to go out to lavish dinners and this and that. I feel like Empress energy can, you know, she likes the wine and dining of stuff. But also you work hard for what you do, so you feel like you deserve it. And more so, you probably wouldn't do well with a mate who is hesitant to spend the money, or who is hesitant to go out and wine and dine. Okay. I see the Five of Pumpkins. Okay. Also the Empress card could be also wanting children, perhaps wanting to, you know, multiply in the relationship. So maybe that's a desire. And then we have the Five of Pumpkins, which is the hardships. So this is basically like within the relationship, you need somebody who's going to be willing to go through the good times and the bad times. They're not going to shut down. They're not going to freak out. They're not going to, you know, completely be like, bye, I'm out when like shit hits the fan. So you need someone who's going to be there to power through some of the hard times, some of the rough times in a relationship. And maybe that goes with stuff you've experienced in the past, or with this current relationship. Maybe this person doesn't know how to deal with life crazy things, like we see with their Nine of Swords. They freak out, you know? So maybe with you, it's like you need someone who's a little bit more fearless, or somebody who's a little bit more of a go-getter. And they're going to be able to make magic happen in drastic times, you know? So that's kind of what I see with that too. Really interesting. Some challenges that you face with the relationship. We have ending. We have victory. And we also have deception. Interesting. So I'm willing to say then you may have probably been somebody in the past who has ended relationships. It's nothing new to you. You've been the person that broke hearts. You've been the person that ended relationships because you weren't feeling it. So you're not afraid of that kind of stuff. The deception is interesting too. Was there a past with, you know, other lovers who maybe lied to you or manipulated you, or where you saw them change, you saw them be one way, and then it's like 2-3 months into the relationship, they're a whole different person, you know? So deceptive people is something that you have a challenge with. You have a challenge with trusting that, you know, trusting people's genuine nature. This could also be a problem within yourself too. So maybe you could be quite deceptive. Maybe you play face when you first get into a relationship, and then it's like when you guys are showing your true colors, you know, things aren't always what they seem, that kind of thing. Victory with your challenges, perhaps this is kind of seeing the good things in the bad. Victory could also be seeing a relationship as being victorious regardless of its flaws, perhaps. So I feel like as this to come up as a challenge is really interesting because it's usually victory is not a bad thing, but to see this in that light kind of tells me that maybe no matter what, you will always try to pick apart a relationship and see the bad things, even if there's nothing wrong with it. So that's something for you to personally work on. Really interesting cards, the shadow cards. Let's look at that. So these are the cards at the bottom of the decks. You have the Ace of Bats. Interesting. So the Ace of Bats or the Ace of Swords. This is communication. This is truth and honesty, integrity. Exactly what we were just talking about with the deception. So I feel like maybe you have a hard time trusting, okay? You have a hard time trusting. That might be something for you, a shadow that you need to work with. Not so much this deck because I pulled from both of them, but this one for him or them, I'm sorry. They have the Five of Cups. This is regrets. This is regrets. So I feel like with them, they have a struggle or a shadow with making decisions that they regret later on, or not taking initiative, and then they regret it later. So I feel like they've probably been broken up with before in the past, and they regretted it because they knew they could have done better. So that's something that they also have to work on with themselves. You have no control over what they do. You know what I mean? You have control over what you guys do together as a couple. But if they're going to be stuck with their own negative ways, you know, their bad habits and whatnot, you can only do so much. So I feel like this is one of those cases where you kind of bend your rules a little bit, and you know, now you're just kind of tired of it. And I don't know. I'm not here to tell you what to do. I'm just here to show you what the cards reveal. And I feel like as you watch this reading, you're going to be able to kind of form your own your own answer. But I hope that what the cards I pulled, I hope that kind of helped you and it shed some light on what you were asking. So thank you, my love, so much for allowing me to read for you. If you have any additional questions or if you want to give me some feedback, please send me an email. And anyone who's watching, this is it's the one question fall theme reading. If you want to book this one or another one with me, click the link in my bio, check out my website. My fall readings are available through the end of October, but my other services are available all the time. So check me out, book a reading, and we will talk soon. Bye, loves.